There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize that the world is far bigger than the place they grew up in. A moment when they start to see that opportunities, knowledge, and growth are not limited by their country, their background, or their past, but by their ability to connect with a bigger world. And for millions of people across Asia, for people working hard to build a better future for their families, that bridge to a bigger world is English. Not perfect English, not textbook English, but the ability to express yourself, to learn freely, to communicate confidently, and to understand the ideas that can transform your life. This book is not just about learning English. It is about becoming someone new, someone braver, more confident, more capable than the version of you who started. When you learn English, you don't just learn a language, you open doors. Doors to better jobs, doors to higher income, doors to knowledge that only exists in English, doors to international friends, new perspectives, and global opportunities. English is not everything, but it changes everything. And the journey of learning it will change you too. It will make you more consistent, more disciplined, more patient, more focused. It teaches you to push through fear, to stop being shy, to speak even when your voice shakes. English doesn't just upgrade your communication, it upgrades your mindset. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to speak like a native speaker. You don't need to memorize thousands of difficult grammar rules. You simply need to start and keep going. Small habits every day, small improvements every week. The goal is progress, not perfection. And every step you take in English becomes a step forward in your life. This audiobook will guide you through both the mindset and the practical strategies you need to grow. It will teach you how to learn English in a simple, enjoyable, and realistic way. It will help you overcome fear, break old patterns, and think in English naturally. But most importantly, it will remind you that the person you are becoming matters far more than the mistakes you worry about today. Your future is waiting. Your confidence is waiting. Your new life is waiting. And English is the key that opens the door. Chapter 1: Why English Changes Everything. There is a moment in every learner's life when English stops being just a language and starts becoming something deeper, something personal, something powerful. At first, most people think English is only useful for passing an exam, talking to foreigners, or writing emails for work, but the truth is bigger than that. English is a tool that reshapes your entire life. It expands your world, your confidence, your opportunities, and even the way you think. In reality, English is not the end goal. It is the doorway to growth. And once you understand this, your journey changes forever. For many people, the first motivation is simple: wanting a better job. Companies prefer people who can communicate in English. Better communication leads to better positions. Better positions lead to higher salaries. It may sound like a small thing, but it's not. English is one of the fastest ways to increase your income without needing a university degree or expensive training. It gives you access to professional opportunities that would normally be out of reach. And when you can understand English at a good level, you start to see chances others cannot see. You start to understand how the world works beyond your city, beyond Cambodia, beyond everything you knew before. You begin to understand global ideas, global knowledge, and global possibilities. But the impact of English goes far beyond job titles. English changes the way you think about yourself. When you start learning a new language, you are forced to grow. You leave your comfort zone. You make mistakes. You feel embarrassed sometimes. You speak, and your voice shakes. You try again. You improve. You become stronger. This process is not about vocabulary, it is about character. Every time you face your fear and speak anyway, you build confidence. Every time you learn a new phrase, you change how your mind processes information. Every time you understand a video or a conversation that used to feel impossible, you feel the power of progress, and that feeling transforms you from the inside out. English gives you access to a bigger world, millions of videos, articles, books, online courses, mentors, teachers, and creators who can teach you something valuable. Almost all global knowledge exists in English first. If you can understand English, you don't have to wait for translations, for subtitles, or for someone to explain it in your language. You go directly to the source. You become independent. You learn anything you want: technology, business, health, personal development, psychology, communication, leadership, without limits. You become the kind of person who grows because you choose to grow, not because someone pushes you. English gives you freedom to learn. It also gives you freedom to connect. When you speak English, you can travel and communicate with people from any country. You can make international friends. You can join global communities, online groups, professional networks. You can ask questions and learn from people who have experienced things you have never imagined. You get advice, support, and knowledge from all over the world. This kind of connection changes your perspective. You begin to see your life differently. You see solutions where you once saw problems. You see opportunities where you once saw limits. You see that the world is full of people who want to grow, just like you. And yet, despite all of these benefits, many people hold themselves back because they think their English must be perfect. They say, "My grammar is bad. My accent is not good. I feel shy. I don't know enough words." But perfection is not the goal. Communication is the goal. English exists to help you express your ideas, not to judge you. You do not lose respect for having an accent. You do not lose opportunities for making small grammar mistakes. Nobody cares if your English is not perfect. People care if you are willing to learn, willing to speak, willing to try. Confidence is far more important than perfection. When you stop trying to sound perfect and instead focus on being clear, confident, and consistent, your English improves faster than you expect. You begin to enjoy the learning process. You start watching videos, listening to stories, following English creators, repeating phrases, thinking naturally in English without forcing yourself. You stop memorizing rules and start absorbing language through real life. And when that happens, your growth becomes unstoppable. English becomes part of your identity. Chapter 2. Build your motivation muscle. Motivation is not something you wait for. It is something you build. Many people believe they cannot learn English because they don't feel motivated, or don't have time, or don't have the energy after work. They wait for the perfect moment. They wait for inspiration. They wait for some magical feeling that will suddenly make learning easy. But the truth is simple and powerful. Motivation is not the beginning of your journey. Action is. You don't get motivated first and then take action. You take action first, and motivation follows behind you. Every small step you take creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence, and confidence creates motivation. This is how motivation truly grows. Think of it like building a muscle. You don't go to the gym once and expect to become strong. You go repeatedly. You lift gradually. You push through discomfort. You become better because you show up, not because you feel perfect every day. Motivation works the same way. It grows when you practice it. It improves when you keep going, even on the days you don't feel like it. Every time you choose to learn English for 10 minutes instead of scrolling on your phone, you strengthen your motivation muscle. Every time you watch an English video, read a short article, or speak a few sentences out loud, you become more disciplined. And discipline is the real power behind motivation. Many learners struggle because they believe motivation must feel exciting. They think they must feel inspired every day. But real motivation is quiet. It's slow. It's built through repetition and commitment, not emotion. Real motivation is waking up and choosing to learn even when nobody is watching, even when you feel tired, even when your progress feels slow. Real motivation is when you keep going because you know your future deserves the effort. When learning becomes a habit, not a mood, everything changes. One of the biggest mistakes learners make is aiming for big, difficult goals. They say things like, "I will study 2 hours every day," or "I will master English in 3 months." But such goals are too heavy. They look impressive, they feel exciting, but they are not sustainable. And when people fail these unrealistic goals, they lose confidence, they feel guilty, they stop learning. Instead, the secret is to make your goals small, simple, and achievable. 10 minutes a day, one short video, a few new words, one short paragraph, something you can do even on your busiest day. Because small habits done consistently always beat big plans that never happen. Motivation grows with success, not pressure. When you complete a small task, you feel proud. When you feel proud, you keep going. And when you keep going, you improve. This creates a cycle that feeds your motivation instead of killing it. That is why the most successful English learners in the world are not the smartest or the most talented. They are the most consistent. They do a little every day. They don't wait for motivation, they create it. Another powerful way to build motivation is to connect learning with your identity. Instead of saying, "I want to learn English," begin saying, "I am learning English." Instead of saying, "I hope to improve," say, "I am improving." Your words shape your beliefs, and your beliefs shape your actions. When you believe you are someone who learns English, you act like it naturally. You become more aware, more curious, more willing to push yourself. You no longer see learning as a chore, you see it as part of who you are becoming. A lack of motivation usually comes from fear. Fear of making mistakes, fear of sounding wrong, fear of being judged, fear of being too slow. But fear is just a feeling. It does not define you. The more you face it, the more it fades. Every time you speak in English, even if you make mistakes, your fear becomes weaker. Every time you practice, you prove to yourself that you are capable. Staying motivated means being brave enough to keep going even when you feel uncomfortable. Growth always feels uncomfortable at first. It's a sign that you're expanding beyond your limits. It's also important to protect your motivation from negativity. Sometimes people around you may laugh, judge, or discourage you. They may say your English is not good enough, or question why you are learning. But remember this: people who criticize are usually the ones who stopped growing. They quit on themselves, so they want you to quit too. Don't let small minds convince you that your dreams are too big. Your learning journey belongs to you, not to them. Surround yourself with people, videos, and ideas that inspire you, not limit you. Follow creators who motivate you. Listen to English stories that give you energy. Keep your environment clean, positive, and supportive. One of the most effective techniques to sustain motivation is to focus on identity-based habits. Don't learn English only to pass a test or get a job. Learn it because it shapes your character. Learn it because it makes you more confident. Learn it because it builds discipline. When your reason is deeper than a short-term goal, your motivation becomes unbreakable. You become unstoppable because you are not learning for a moment, you are learning for your future. And remember, the journey will not always be perfect. There will be days when you feel tired, busy, or distracted. Days when you don't feel progress. Days when your confidence drops. That is normal. It happens to every learner. The key is this: Never stop completely. Even a tiny effort keeps the habit alive. Even 5 minutes keeps your brain connected to English. It is not about being perfect, it is about staying in the game. Motivation also grows when you track your progress. When you look back and see that you now understand more than before. When you realize that last month's difficult video feels easier today. When you notice that you can read faster, speak clearer, or write with more confidence, progress, even small progress, gives you energy. It reminds you that learning works. It makes you want to continue. That is why the most successful English learners in the world are not the smartest or the most talented. They are the most consistent. They do a little every day. They don't wait for motivation, they create it. In the end, building your motivation muscle is about choosing yourself every single day, choosing your future over your excuses, choosing growth over comfort, choosing consistency over laziness. When you develop this mindset, you don't just become a better English learner, you become a stronger person in every area of your life. Discipline in language becomes discipline in work. Confidence in speaking becomes confidence in opportunities. Motivation in learning becomes motivation in everything you do. Your future is shaped by the habits you repeat, not the dreams you imagine. You already have the strength inside you. You already have the ability. What you need now is consistency. 10 minutes today, 10 minutes tomorrow, 10 minutes the day after. This is how champions are built, one step at a time. And as your motivation muscle grows, something beautiful will happen. Learning English will no longer feel like a challenge. It will feel like a natural part of your life, a habit that empowers you, a path that leads you toward a future far bigger than anything you imagined. You do not need to be perfect. You only need to keep going. Your motivation will grow with you, and your English and your life will rise together. Chapter 3. Speak without fear. Fear is the greatest enemy of progress. Not lack of vocabulary, not grammar mistakes, not accent. Fear. The fear of being judged, the fear of sounding wrong, the fear of speaking slowly, the fear of making mistakes. This fear stops more people from learning English than anything else. Some people study for years, but never speak because they're waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel good enough. But here's the truth. You will never feel fully ready. Confidence comes after speaking, not before. You don't learn to speak by waiting, you learn to speak by speaking. Every learner experiences fear at some point, even the most talented ones. It is completely normal. But fear is not a wall, it is a signal. When you feel fear, it simply means you are growing. It means you are stepping into a new space. It means you are doing something meaningful. If learning English were easy, it wouldn't have the power to change your life. English becomes valuable precisely because it challenges you. Fear is part of the process. You don't eliminate it, you walk through it. To speak without fear, you must first change your mindset about mistakes. Many people think mistakes are embarrassing. They think mistakes mean they are not smart. But mistakes are the foundation of every language. Babies learn by making thousands of mistakes. Adults learn the same way. Every mistake is proof that you are trying. Every mistake is a lesson. Every mistake gets you closer to fluency. If you avoid mistakes, you avoid growth. The fastest learners in the world make the most mistakes because they're not afraid to fail. They speak freely, they try new words, they experiment. They know that progress grows from imperfection. The truth is, nobody cares about your mistakes as much as you think. The world is not judging you. People are focused on themselves. In fact, when you speak English, even imperfectly, most people admire you. They respect your effort. They appreciate your courage. They see your potential. Nobody expects you to sound like a native speaker. They expect you to communicate. They expect you to try. Confidence is far more attractive than perfection. Another reason people fear speaking is because they compare themselves to others. They see someone speaking fluently and think, "I will never be like that." But you are comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. You are judging yourself based on a journey you haven't completed yet. That person you admire also struggled. They also made mistakes. They also felt embarrassed. But they continued. And that is the only difference. If you keep going, your future English will surprise you. Comparisons only slow you down. Instead of comparing, focus on improving. Instead of competing with others, compete with yesterday's version of you. To overcome fear, you must practice speaking in small, safe spaces. Start by speaking alone. Talk to yourself in English while cooking, walking, or driving. Describe your day. Explain your plans. Practice simple sentences. This builds confidence quietly, without pressure. Then speak to technology. Use voice assistants, English speaking apps, or simple recording tools. Hearing yourself speak helps you improve your tone and reduce fear of your own voice. When you feel comfortable, speak to one person, a friend, a family member, a colleague, someone who supports you. Step by step, your courage grows. Another powerful technique is shadowing. Shadowing means listening to a short English audio and repeating it immediately, matching the speaker's voice, rhythm, and speed. It trains your mouth, your tongue, and your brain to work together. You don't need to understand every word, you just follow the sound. Shadowing is one of the most effective ways to reduce fear because it gives you the feeling of speaking like a native, even if only for a few seconds. It builds confidence quickly, and confidence eliminates fear. You must also change the way you think about your accent. Many learners want to sound perfect, but there is no perfect accent. Everyone has an accent, even native speakers. Americans sound different from British people. Australians sound different from Canadians. English speakers from India, Singapore, and the Philippines all sound different too. Your accent is part of your identity. It shows your culture, your journey, your story. You don't need to erase it. You only need to be clear. Clarity is more important than accent. As long as people understand you, you are already succeeding. Be proud of your voice. Your accent is not a weakness, it is your fingerprint. Fear also disappears when you simplify your English. Many people try to speak with complicated words because they think it makes them sound smart. But simplicity is power. The world's best communicators use simple English, clear, short, direct. Use the words you already know. Use simple sentences. Do not pressure yourself to sound advanced. Fluency is not about using big words. It is about communicating smoothly. When you keep English simple, you reduce fear and increase confidence. One reason fear feels so strong is because it is connected to shame. Many learners fear being laughed at or corrected. But remember, the people who laugh at you are not better than you. They are insecure. Confident people support learners. Confident people encourage you. Anyone who mocks your English is revealing their own weakness, not yours. And as for corrections, they are not attacks, they are gifts. Someone who corrects you is helping you grow. Someone who corrects you sees your potential. Do not take corrections personally. Take them as steps toward mastery. To speak without fear, you must also train your mindset to focus on progress, not perfection. Every time you speak, you improve. Even if you make mistakes, you still grow. Every conversation is practice. Every attempt is a victory. You succeed simply by trying. If you measure success only by perfection, you will always feel like a failure. But if you measure success by effort, you will feel unstoppable, because effort is always in your control. A powerful strategy to reduce fear is to ask simple, predictable questions during conversations, like, "How was your day? What do you think about this? Can you explain more? What happened next?" These questions help you stay in control, keep the conversation flowing, and reduce pressure. The more you engage in natural conversation, the faster fear disappears. Confidence also grows when you focus on listening more than speaking. When you listen well, you understand the context, you understand the vocabulary, you understand the rhythm of natural English. And when you understand, speaking feels easier. Great speakers are first great listeners. Listening builds confidence silently. Most importantly, speaking without fear requires kindness to yourself. You must allow yourself to be a learner. You must allow yourself to be imperfect. You must give yourself permission to grow at your own pace. English is not a race, it is a journey. And every journey has slow days, hard days, and messy days. But as long as you keep moving forward, you are winning. One day, you will look back and realize that the fear you felt was only temporary. You will remember how difficult it felt in the beginning and how easy it feels now. You will smile because you will know that all the courage you showed, all the small steps you took, all the moments you pushed through fear, those were the things that changed you. They built your confidence. They shaped your identity. They turned you into someone who does not run from challenges, but walks through them with strength. And when that day comes, you will understand something powerful. Fear didn't stop you. Fear shaped you. It taught you courage. It taught you resilience. It taught you how strong you really are. And now, nothing can stop your voice. Chapter 4. Think in English, not translation. One of the biggest breakthroughs in your English journey happens when you stop translating and start thinking directly in English. In the beginning, almost every learner relies on translation. It is normal and natural. But translation is slow and tiring. It makes you overthink every sentence, lose confidence, and feel stuck. You hear English, translate it into your language, think of a response, then translate again. By the time you finish, the conversation has already moved on. Thinking in English removes this delay. It makes your mind faster, smoother, and more automatic. And this skill is not about intelligence, it is about consistent training. To understand why translation is a problem, imagine running with a heavy backpack. That backpack is your native language. It has different grammar, rhythm, and ways of expressing ideas. When you force English to follow that structure, it becomes unnatural. Sentences become longer than necessary, your brain gets confused, and speaking becomes stressful. But when you switch to thinking directly in English, your brain follows English patterns automatically. Your sentences become clearer, your speaking becomes smoother, and your confidence rises. Thinking in English begins with simple thoughts. You don't need to think about big ideas. Start with daily actions. When you wake up, describe what you're doing in English. I'm brushing my teeth. I'm leaving the house. I'm making breakfast. These small sentences teach your brain to form English naturally. Over time, your mind stops translating because English becomes the first language your thoughts use for simple activities. A powerful technique is to name the world around you. When you see objects, your phone, your bag, your keys, your coffee, say their names in English in your mind. This connects English words to real life, not to translation. Your brain begins to store English as part of your environment, not as a school subject. The more you do this, the faster your mind switches into English mode. Listening also plays a huge role. When you listen to English daily, videos, conversations, stories, your brain absorbs grammar and patterns automatically. You start to feel the language instead of analyzing it. This is how children learn. listen first, speak later. Adults often do the opposite, trying to memorize rules before they can understand naturally. Listening resets your brain to the natural learning method. After enough exposure, you will start understanding meaning instantly without translating every word. This is the moment true fluency begins. To think in English, you also need to simplify your language. Many learners try to translate long or complicated sentences from their language into English, but English often expresses ideas more directly. I understand. It's fine. No problem. Let's try again tomorrow. Simple English is powerful and natural. Once you accept this, your brain stops trying to create long translations and instead produces clear English automatically. Shadowing is another effective tool. When you listen to someone speak and repeat immediately after them, you train your brain and mouth to move together. Shadowing gives you the rhythm, tone, and flow of real English. This repeated practice helps your brain copy natural speech patterns until they become automatic. It is one of the strongest methods to start thinking directly in English. Another important skill is learning to be comfortable with not understanding every word. If you pause every time you hear something unfamiliar, you interrupt the learning process. Instead, focus on the main idea. Even native speakers don't understand every single word they hear. They follow the meaning, not perfection. When you train your brain to understand from context, your listening becomes faster and more natural. You start thinking in English because your brain stays in English mode rather than jumping back to translation. Removing fear is also essential. Some learners avoid thinking in English because they want their thoughts to be perfect. But thinking does not require perfect grammar. It only requires practice. Allow yourself to think in simple, imperfect English. With time, your grammar and vocabulary will naturally improve. Thinking in English is not the result of fluency. It is the cause of fluency. A very effective habit is the 5-minute English thinking challenge. Each day, choose one small topic and think about it entirely in English. Your plans, a memory, something you saw, or a goal you want to achieve. Thinking quietly in English trains your brain even more than speaking, because it forces your mind to work in English without help. 5 minutes each day can transform your automatic thinking. Emotions should also be connected to English directly. When you feel tired, excited, stressed, or happy, name the feeling in English in your mind. This builds emotional vocabulary in a natural way. You not only learn the word, you connect it to the real emotion, which makes you remember it deeply. Reading also helps, but don't use a dictionary for every word. Read naturally. Stories, articles, short paragraphs. The more you see English sentences, the more your brain absorbs structure automatically. This is how natural grammar grows, through repeated exposure, not strict memorization. Thinking in English is a journey. At first, it feels strange. Then it becomes familiar. One day, it becomes automatic. You will catch yourself understanding English instantly. You will speak without preparing. You will think in English without trying. And you will realize how far you have come. When you stop translating, everything improves. Listening, speaking, understanding, confidence. You stop feeling like someone studying English and start feeling like someone living with the language. That is the moment you stop being a learner and start becoming a speaker. Chapter 5. Daily English Habits That Actually Work. The biggest secret in language learning is not talent, not intelligence, not expensive courses. It is habits. Daily habits. Small habits. Simple habits. The kind of habits that are so easy you can follow them even when you are tired, busy, or stressed. Most people fail in English not because the language is difficult, but because they rely on motivation instead of routine. They study intensely for 1 week, then stop for a month. They push themselves too hard, then burn out. But fluency is not built through bursts of effort. It is built through tiny daily actions that compound over time. Even 10 minutes a day done consistently will transform your English far more than 1 hour once a week. The first powerful habit is the 1 English input rule. Every day, give your brain at least one small dose of English, one video, one paragraph, one podcast clip, or one page of reading. It doesn't need to be long, it only needs to be daily. When you give your brain English every day, you keep the connection alive. Your mind stays in learning mode. Your progress becomes continuous instead of stopping and restarting. The goal is not perfection. The goal is exposure. Just like muscles stay strong when you move regularly, your English stays active when you feed it daily. The second habit is shadowing, a technique so powerful that almost every fluent learner has used it at some point. Shadowing means listening to a sentence in English and immediately repeating it, copying the rhythm and tone. You don't need to understand every word. You don't even need to repeat it perfectly. You simply follow the sound. This trains your tongue, your mouth, and your brain to work together. It improves your pronunciation, your confidence, your speaking flow, and your listening ability all at once. Even 5 minutes of shadowing a day will transform your spoken English in ways you cannot imagine. It is one of the fastest ways to sound confident and natural. Another habit that works incredibly well is keeping an English notebook. Not a textbook, but a personal notebook filled with the words and sentences that matter to you. Many learners try to memorize long vocabulary lists, but they forget them quickly because those words are not connected to their lives. Instead, write down what you actually use. Words from your job, sentences you hear often, phrases that feel powerful, expressions that fit your daily life. Review this notebook every night for 5 minutes. Over time, these words become part of your natural memory, not something you memorize and forget. Speaking practice is also essential, but you don't need a partner to start. You can speak alone. This is the third habit, self-speaking. Talk about your day, your plans, your feelings, your tasks, your goals. Describe what you see. Tell short stories to yourself. This builds confidence quietly and removes fear because you practice without pressure. The more you speak to yourself, the easier it becomes to speak to others. Your mouth becomes used to forming English sounds. Your brain becomes used to producing sentences quickly. You become your own practice partner. The fourth habit is the 5 new words rule. Not 20, not 10, only 5. Every day, learn 5 new English words or phrases that you will actually use. Write them in your notebook. Use them in a sentence. Try to speak them aloud. 5 a day may seem small, but in 1 month, you will learn 150 useful words. In 1 year, you will add more than 1,800 words to your vocabulary. That alone is enough to change your English completely. Consistency beats intensity. Listening practice must also be part of your daily routine because listening is the foundation of natural English. The fifth habit is to listen to something you enjoy. Motivational videos, English learning YouTubers, audiobooks, podcast clips, or movie scenes. Enjoyment is key. If you enjoy what you listen to, your brain absorbs faster. You remember more. You stay consistent. Listening trains your ear to understand different accents, tones, and speeds. Even 10 minutes a day builds a strong listening habit. Reading is another habit that strengthens your English deeply. But again, keep it simple. The 7th habit is writing 1 small paragraph a day. Write about your day, a plan, a thought, a memory, or a lesson you learned. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about mistakes. Writing is a mirror for your thoughts. It helps you organize your English thinking. It makes your sentence structure stronger. It builds your confidence. Over time, your writing will become clearer and cleaner naturally. Another important daily habit is reviewing, not relearning. Many learners waste time relearning vocabulary they forgot because they never review it. The eighth habit is to review your English notebook for 5 minutes every night. This strengthens your memory and makes new words stay permanently. You will be surprised how quickly your vocabulary grows when you review daily. To make daily English habits powerful, you must remove pressure. Don't force yourself to study for long hours. Don't aim for perfection. Focus on showing up. The goal is to make English a natural part of your life, not a stressful task. Therefore, the ninth habit is immersion. Surrounding yourself with English in small, effortless ways. Change your phone to English. Change your YouTube recommendations to English. Follow English-speaking creators. Listen to English music. Read English captions. Let English become part of your world. This immersion transforms learning from something you do into something you live. The 10th habit is celebrating small wins. When you understand something new, celebrate it. When you finish an English video without subtitles, be proud. When you speak without fear, even for 1 minute, reward yourself. Small wins build motivation. They remind you that progress is real. They give you energy to continue. The learners who succeed are always the ones who notice their progress, not the ones who ignore it. Daily habits are not about pressure. They're about transformation. When you follow small habits consistently, you become a different person. You become someone who learns naturally, someone who improves slowly but surely, someone who sees English not as a subject, but as a tool for growth. This transformation is quiet. It happens in the background. But one day, you will wake up and realize you can understand English conversations easily. You can speak without preparing every sentence. You can watch videos naturally. You can express yourself clearly. And at that moment, you will see the truth. Your habits built your future. Your small efforts built your confidence. Your discipline created your fluency. Fluency is not magic. Fluency is routine. And your routine can begin today. Chapter 6. English for Career, Money, and Life Growth. If there is one skill that can change your career, increase your income, and open doors you never imagined, it is English. Not perfect English, not native-level English, just clear, confident English. In today's world, whether you work in business, IT, hospitality, sales, logistics, finance, construction, or even small family businesses, English gives you a powerful advantage. It is not just a language, it is a currency, a skill that increases your value, a tool that multiplies your opportunities. When you improve your English, you are not only learning words, you are preparing your future. English influences your career in more ways than most people realize. First, it gives you access to better jobs. Many companies, especially international ones, require English for hiring. Even if the job does not require speaking every day, companies still look for English ability because it shows you can communicate, learn, and adapt. English speakers have more choices. They can apply to better roles. They can compete with a larger group of opportunities. They can negotiate better salaries. They can take on responsibilities that others cannot. English makes you visible in the job market. Second, English boosts your confidence at work. When you can understand emails, communicate with partners, or speak during meetings, you instantly feel more capable. Your colleagues begin to trust you more. Your managers see potential in you. You become someone who can handle important tasks, not because your English is perfect, but because you can communicate. Confidence grows with ability, and ability grows with practice. When you improve your English, your entire career energy shifts. You start saying, "Yes, I can do it," instead of, "Sorry, I don't understand." One small improvement changes everything. English also opens the door to career growth that would otherwise be impossible. Many promotions require communication skills. Team leaders, supervisors, and managers need to write reports, present ideas, communicate across departments, and coordinate with people from different backgrounds. English becomes the bridge between you and leadership opportunities. If you want to move from staff to supervisor, from supervisor to manager, or from local role to regional role, English becomes your ticket upward. Skills open the door, but English pushes you through it. Another powerful benefit of English is access to global knowledge. Most of the world's best information about business, finance, technology, psychology, leadership, health, and self-improvement is available first in English. Books, videos, online courses, podcasts, all appear in English long before they are translated. When you can understand English, you unlock these resources immediately. You don't wait for others. You don't depend on translations. You learn faster than people around you. And in today's world, the person who learns faster wins. English gives you that speed. English also increases your income potential. This is not just theory, it is reality. In many countries, including Cambodia, employees who speak English often earn more than those who don't. English speakers can take on roles with higher pay, handle foreign customers, manage documentation, communicate with international suppliers, work in multinational environments, and move into specialized fields like IT, finance, HR, auditing, customer service, or project management. Even basic English can increase your salary. Intermediate English increases it more. And fluent English can completely transform your financial future. English is not just a skill, it is an investment with a high return. But English does not only change your career, it changes your mindset. When you learn English, you start learning how to think differently. You see the world through a bigger lens. You understand perspectives from other cultures. You learn new ideas that challenge your old beliefs. Your thinking becomes more global. Your vision becomes bigger. And this mindset shift influences your goals, your decisions, and your ambition. English expands your world. One of the most powerful ways English impacts your life is through communication. When you speak English, you can connect with people from everywhere. You can build friendships, join communities, ask questions to experts, and learn from those who live far beyond your environment. Communication expands your opportunities simply because you can now reach people you could never reach before. When you speak English, the world becomes smaller and your possibilities become larger. But to experience these benefits, you need one thing: courage. The courage to use your English at work. The courage to speak even if your grammar is not perfect. The courage to accept mistakes and keep going. The courage to apply for a better job even if you feel nervous. Many people have the ability, but they lack belief in themselves. They underestimate their own potential. They think, "My English is too weak. I'm not ready. I will embarrass myself." But the truth is this: the world rewards action, not perfection. You don't need perfect English to get a better job. You need usable English, confident English, practical English, and you already have more than you think. English also improves your problem-solving skills at work. When you can read global resources, you can bring new ideas to your company. You can solve problems faster. You can introduce better systems and smarter solutions. People respect those who bring value, and English gives you access to new knowledge that becomes your advantage. Another impact of English is that it opens the door to entrepreneurship. If you ever want to start your own business, online shop, YouTube channel, freelancing, e-commerce, design, IT services, marketing, consulting, English helps you learn everything from zero. You can study how the world's best people do it. You can communicate with suppliers from China, Singapore, Europe, or the US. You can use global tools. You can learn from international mentors. English gives you the ability to grow your business, not just your career. Perhaps the most surprising way English helps your life is through personal growth. Learning a new language teaches you discipline, patience, consistency, and resilience. It teaches you that you can improve step by step. It teaches you that mistakes are part of progress. These qualities help you not only in English, but in every area of your life: your job, your relationships, your health, your goals. When you learn English, you train your mind to grow. And you must remember this: English is a lifetime skill. It does not expire. It does not disappear. It stays with you forever. Once you unlock it, it becomes part of your identity. It opens doors today, tomorrow, and 10 years from now. You may outgrow jobs, industries, and environments, but English will always support your journey. English does not just help you earn more, it helps you become more. More confident, more capable, more valuable, more prepared for the future. Your career will grow. Your income will grow. Your opportunities will grow, because you will grow, and English will grow with you. Chapter 7. Learn from real life, not only from books. One of the most important truths about learning English is this: real fluency comes from real life, not from textbooks alone. Textbooks teach rules. Real life teaches communication. Textbooks teach structure. Real life teaches meaning. Textbooks show examples. Real life gives you experience. And while grammar books and vocabulary lists can help, they are only a small part of your journey. To truly grow, to become a confident speaker, to feel the language instead of memorizing it, you must step beyond the classroom and learn from the world around you. The reason many learners struggle, even after years of studying, is because they only learn English through books. They memorize grammar rules, but cannot speak. They finish exercises, but cannot have a conversation. They understand vocabulary on paper, but cannot use it naturally. This happens because English, like any language, is not built for studying, it is built for living. The human brain learns languages best through real experiences: listening, speaking, observing, imitating, and using the language in daily life. That is why real-life English is so powerful. Learning from real life begins with listening. The more you listen to natural English, conversations, YouTube videos, movie clips, podcasts, the faster your brain adapts. You begin to understand how real people speak, not how textbooks present the language. Real English is not slow. It is not always perfect. People interrupt each other, use slang, shorten words, and speak with different accents. When you expose yourself to these natural patterns, your listening expands. Your mind becomes flexible. And slowly, you understand English not word by word, but idea by idea. This is the foundation of true fluency. Real-life learning also teaches you rhythm, tone, and emotional expression, things you cannot learn from textbooks. English is not only about words, it is about how those words are spoken. You learn when a phrase sounds friendly or formal. You learn how to show confidence, politeness, or excitement. You learn how real people connect with their voice. And this kind of learning only happens through exposure. Every video you watch, every show you listen to, every conversation you hear trains your brain to absorb the natural music of English. Another powerful part of real-life learning is imitation. When you hear a phrase you like, repeat it. When you hear a tone that feels confident, copy it. When someone uses a clear expression, steal it. Great speakers are great imitators. Babies learn language by copying sounds. Adults are no different. If you imitate real English consistently, you will begin to sound more natural without forcing yourself. You will adopt the flow and patterns of confident speakers. This is why watching interviews, vlogs, speeches, or even simple conversations is one of the best ways to build speaking skills. Daily life also gives you endless opportunities to practice English internally. When you are cooking, think in English. When you're walking, describe things in English. When you are planning your day, plan it in English. These small moments are more valuable than long study sessions because they train your brain to use English automatically. Language is a habit. The more your mind uses English during daily routines, the faster it becomes natural. A major advantage of real-life learning is that it teaches you practical English, the English people actually use. Textbooks often teach phrases that sound correct but are not used commonly in modern conversations. Real life teaches you phrases like, "Sounds good," "Let me check," "No worries," "Give me a second." That makes sense. These simple expressions carry real meaning in daily life. They make your conversations smoother. They make you sound modern and confident. You learn them not by studying, but by listening, observing, and practicing naturally. Real-life English also exposes you to culture. Culture influences language more than most learners realize. Understanding jokes, emotions, small talk, politeness, and tone all come from cultural exposure. When you learn English through real content, you begin to understand how English speakers think. You see how they express gratitude, how they disagree politely, how they show excitement, how they ask questions, and how they respond casually. This cultural awareness helps you communicate more naturally, not like a robot, but like a human. One of the most effective ways to practice real-life English is through interaction, even small interactions. If you have foreign customers, talk to them in English. If you meet tourists, greet them. If your colleague speaks English, have short conversations. Even simple interactions build powerful confidence. You don't need perfect grammar. You just need courage. The more you speak, the more you learn. Speaking is not something you prepare for. Speaking is something you grow into by doing it again and again. Technology also gives you endless real-life learning tools. You can watch English creators on YouTube, follow English-speaking TikTok accounts, join Facebook groups, listen to English podcasts, or follow international influencers. These platforms give you real English with real people in real situations. And the best part? You can choose content that matches your interests. If you love technology, watch English tech videos. If you love cooking, watch English cooking channels. If you love motivation, listen to English motivational speakers. Learning becomes fun when you learn through content you enjoy. Another powerful method is using English subtitles, not Khmer subtitles. Khmer subtitles make your brain lazy because you don't focus on the English. English subtitles help you connect spoken words with written words. They train your listening and reading at the same time. After a while, you can remove subtitles completely. This is one of the biggest signs of improvement. Real-life learning also teaches you how to deal with situations where you don't understand everything. In real conversations, you may miss words. You may hear something too fast. You may get confused. But this is normal. This is how fluency grows. You learn to guess meaning from the situation. You learn to respond with simple phrases. You learn to survive in the language. This makes you mentally stronger. It removes fear. It builds real confidence, the kind that no textbook can teach. You must remember that English is a living language. It changes. It evolves. New expressions appear. Old expressions disappear. Grammar becomes more flexible. People speak faster. The world's English sounds different in each country. Real-life English prepares you for all of this. Book English prepares you for exams. Real English prepares you for the world. When you learn from real life, your English becomes part of you. It becomes natural, flexible, and alive. You stop thinking too much. You stop translating. You stop worrying about mistakes. You start communicating with confidence. You start expressing yourself clearly. You start enjoying the language. And one day, you will realize something powerful. You didn't become fluent because you memorized rules. You became fluent because you lived the language. You listened, watched, spoke, and used English in your real life. You built fluency from experience, not from pressure. That is the real secret. And now, that secret belongs to you. Chapter 8. Master Pronunciation with Confidence. Pronunciation is one of the areas that scares many English learners, yet it is also one of the easiest parts to improve once you understand the truth. Pronunciation is not about sounding perfect, it is about being clear. You do not need an American accent, British accent, Australian accent, or any accent from movies. You need your accent, spoken confidently and clearly. Pronunciation is not about copying someone else. It is about learning how to express your voice in a way people can understand. Once you stop aiming for perfection and start aiming for clarity, everything becomes much easier. The first step to mastering pronunciation is to change the way you think about it. Many learners believe their accent is a problem. They worry that sounding foreign is something to be ashamed of. But accents are normal. Accents show your identity, your culture, your background, your story. Every English speaker on earth has an accent, including native speakers. What matters is whether people can understand you without effort. Clarity is the goal, not perfection. When you embrace your natural accent, but work on clear pronunciation, you remove pressure and build confidence. To speak clearly, focus on sounds, not speed. One of the biggest mistakes learners make is trying to speak fast because they think fast English sounds fluent. But speed creates mistakes. Speed creates stress. Speed destroys clarity. Fluency is not speed. Fluency is smoothness. When you slow down and speak clearly, you sound confident, not weak. You give your brain time to form sentences naturally. You give your listener time to understand. When you speak too fast, you lose control. When you speak slowly but clearly, you own the conversation. Another powerful tool for pronunciation is shadowing. Shadowing trains your brain, mouth, and ears at the same time. You listen to a sentence, then repeat it immediately, matching the speaker's rhythm and tone. You are not trying to be perfect, you are copying the flow. This flow is what makes English sound natural. Shadowing helps you feel how English speakers move their mouth, how they stress words, where they pause, and how they connect sounds together. Even 10 minutes of shadowing a day can transform your pronunciation more than 1 month of reading rules. Stress and intonation are also essential. English is a stress-timed language, meaning some words are said louder or clearer than others. Khmer is not. This difference is why many learners sound flat when speaking English. To sound natural, you must stress the important words, the key ideas. Try saying this sentence: I didn't say he stole the money. Depending on which word you stress, the meaning changes completely. This is why real-life listening is so important. It trains your ear to hear which words carry emotion and meaning. When you practice stressing the right words, your speaking instantly becomes more natural. Another important skill is connecting sounds. English speakers do not pronounce each word separately. They connect words together to make speech smoother. For example, I want to go becomes I wanna go. Let me see becomes lemme see. Did you eat becomes didja eat. These connected sounds are not incorrect. They are part of natural English. When you understand this, you stop being confused when listening, and you begin to speak with more fluency. Shadowing helps your brain naturally absorb this connection. Pronunciation also improves dramatically when you record your own voice. Many learners avoid hearing their voice because it feels uncomfortable, but this discomfort is the exact reason your pronunciation is stuck. When you record yourself and listen back, you hear your mistakes clearly. You notice the sounds you struggle with. You recognize where you drop endings, shorten vowels, or rush words. Recording yourself makes you aware, and awareness is the foundation of improvement. After a week of recording your English daily, you will see massive progress. Another powerful technique is mirror speaking. Stand in front of a mirror and speak English out loud. Watch your mouth move. See how you form sounds. English uses tongue and mouth positions that are different from Khmer. For example, the th sound requires the tongue between the teeth. The V and W sounds require different lip shapes. The R in English is not rolled like in many languages. Watching your mouth helps you control these sounds better. Over time, it becomes natural. Focus also on the ending sounds in English because they carry meaning. Cat versus cap versus cab versus can. Many Khmer learners drop ending sounds because they are not always pronounced strongly in Khmer, but in English, the ending sound can completely change the meaning. Practice ending sounds slowly at first. Exaggerate them. Train your mouth. Once you master them, natural speaking becomes much easier. Another important part of pronunciation is listening to yourself while you speak. Many people speak without paying attention to their own sound. Try to listen to your rhythm, your stress, your clarity. Think of pronunciation as music. When the rhythm feels right, the sentence feels right. But pronunciation is not only about physical practice, it is also emotional. Fear destroys pronunciation. When you worry about mistakes, your mouth becomes tense, your voice becomes tight, your flow disappears. When you relax, your speaking improves instantly. Confidence makes your voice stronger. Confidence makes your pronunciation clearer. Confidence makes you sound fluent even if your vocabulary is simple. Fluency is not only about words, it is about courage. Another powerful step is learning phrases, not individual words. Pronunciation becomes easier when you speak in chunks. Instead of saying, I want to go, learn to say it as one unit. I wanna go. Your brain remembers phrases faster than single words. When you speak naturally in phrases, your pronunciation becomes more smooth. You should also use real-life English as your teacher. Watch interviews, vlogs, and simple videos. Pay attention to how people speak, not just what they say. Notice how they reduce some words, stress others, and connect ideas. Listen to different accents: American, British, Indian, Filipino, Singaporean, because English is global. Understanding different accents makes you a stronger listener and a more adaptable speaker. Most importantly, you must accept that improving pronunciation takes time, but not as much time as you think. If you practice a little every day, your pronunciation will improve dramatically in a few months. It is not about long study sessions. It is about consistent exposure, small corrections, and confidence. One day, without even realizing it, your pronunciation will change. People will understand you more easily. You will speak more smoothly. You will feel more confident. And you will look back and realize that the journey was not about sounding perfect, it was about finding your voice. Pronunciation is not about removing your accent. It is about strengthening your clarity. It is about speaking confidently. It is about expressing the real you. And the real you deserves to be heard. Chapter 9. Use English to rebuild your identity. Every person carries an identity, a story about who they think they are. Some people see themselves as strong, others as weak. Some see themselves as capable, others as limited. But identity is not fixed. It is not something you are born with and forced to keep forever. Identity is something you grow into, something you shape, something you rebuild as your life changes. And one of the most surprising, powerful ways to rebuild your identity is through learning English. Because when you learn a new language, you don't just learn new words, you become a new version of yourself. Think about it. Every time you learn a new English phrase, you expand the way your mind works. Every time you understand something that used to confuse you, you break through a mental barrier. Every time you speak, even if your voice shakes, you prove to yourself that you are braver than your fear. This is identity transformation. Learning English is more than a skill. It is a personal evolution. You begin discovering parts of yourself that were hidden. You begin realizing that you are capable of more than you believed. You begin understanding that your potential is much bigger than your past. Many learners carry limiting identities. I'm not good at languages. I am too old to learn. I'm shy. My English is terrible. I always forget. But these are not truths. These are stories. Stories shaped by past experiences, by self-doubt, by fear, by one mistake someone made you feel embarrassed about. But your identity is not your past. Your identity is what you choose to build from now on. English gives you the perfect opportunity to rewrite that identity. Because every time you grow in English, you grow in life. Learning English forces you to face challenges. It forces you to make mistakes and then stand back up. It forces you to be uncomfortable, to speak even when you feel nervous. And every time you face discomfort and continue anyway, you become stronger. You become someone who doesn't quit easily, someone who can handle pressure, someone who can push forward despite fear. This kind of resilience becomes part of your identity, not only in English, but in everything you do. When you start thinking in English, something else happens. You begin thinking in new ways. English has different sentence structures, different expressions, different emotional tones. When you learn these, your brain adapts. You begin expressing yourself differently. You begin having new thoughts, ideas that you may not express easily in your own language. This mental expansion shapes how you see the world and how you see yourself. You begin to feel more global, more connected, more confident. You start believing that your voice matters. Another powerful part of rebuilding your identity through English is the community it introduces you to. When you speak English, you connect with people from everywhere, people with different cultures, ideas, experiences, and dreams. These connections open your mind. You begin to see life from new angles, to challenge old beliefs, to question your limits, to dream bigger. The people you listen to and learn from, motivational speakers, entrepreneurs, teachers, creators, start influencing the way you think. Their confidence becomes your confidence. Their mindset becomes your mindset. Their habits become inspiration for your own habits. Through English, you take pieces of wisdom from around the world and build a stronger version of yourself. A big part of identity is the voice you use when you express yourself. When you speak English, you may find that you speak differently, maybe more direct, maybe more confident, maybe more expressive. This is not because English changes who you are, but because it allows you to access a different part of yourself. Many people feel bolder or sharper when they speak English because the language itself is more straightforward. This new voice becomes part of their identity, not a replacement of their original self, but an expansion. You don't lose who you are, you become more. Another way English rebuilds your identity is through achievement. When you improve your English, you feel proud. You see evidence of your effort. You see results, and these results change the way you see yourself. You go from "I can't" to "I can," from "I'm not smart" to "I'm growing," from "I'm shy" to "I'm improving." This shift is powerful. It does not happen all at once. It happens slowly, quietly, through daily progress. But when it happens, your whole life changes. You stop doubting yourself. You start believing in your ability to grow. English also builds your professional identity. When you speak English at work, you are seen differently. You are seen as someone capable, someone reliable, someone with potential. You become the person who can talk to vendors, read important documents, join meetings, or communicate with international partners. This professional identity boosts your confidence and pushes you towards new opportunities. And the more you grow in your career, the more your identity shifts from just an employee to a valuable asset. Of course, rebuilding identity through English also requires letting go. Letting go of the fear of being judged. Letting go of perfectionism. Letting go of the need to impress. You must give yourself permission to be a beginner. You must allow yourself to learn slowly. You must accept mistakes as part of the process. When you do, you train yourself to have a growth mindset, the belief that you can improve through effort. This mindset becomes part of your new identity. And once you develop it, you can apply it to every area of your life: your job, your fitness, your relationships, your dreams. Identity is not built through reading alone. It is built through action. Every time you practice English, you are not only improving your language, you are shaping your character. You are building discipline. You are building courage. You are building resilience. Every English video you watch, every sentence you speak, every new word you learn is a step toward the person you want to become. One day, you will realize that English didn't just help you communicate, it helped you transform. It helped you break old beliefs. It helped you see a bigger world. It helped you believe in yourself again. And at that moment, you will understand the deeper truth. English is not just a language. It is a tool to rebuild your identity, a tool to expand your mind, a tool to rewrite your story, a tool to become the strongest version of yourself. This new identity, the confident, disciplined, globally minded you, is already forming, and English is guiding the way. Chapter 10. Rise quietly, transform slowly. Growth does not always look dramatic. It does not always feel exciting. Most of the time, growth is quiet, slow, invisible. It happens in moments when no one is watching, in the 10 minutes of English practice before bed, in the small victory of understanding a new word, in the courage to speak even one sentence out loud. Real transformation is not sudden. It is built through quiet consistency. And when you commit to rising quietly, your progress becomes unstoppable. Many people want fast results. They want to speak fluently in a month, understand everything instantly, or jump levels without effort. But fluency is not magic. It is a journey. It is built through repeated exposure, patient learning, and steady habits. You rise little by little, not all at once, and that slow rise is what makes your foundation strong. Fast progress often disappears. Slow progress lasts forever. When you accept the pace of your growth, you begin to enjoy the journey instead of rushing through it. Quiet transformation starts with small choices. Choosing to listen to English instead of scrolling. Choosing to speak even when nervous. Choosing to review your notes for 5 minutes. Choosing to practice shadowing for a short moment each day. These choices seem small, but they compound. Every day you choose growth over excuses, your identity strengthens. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to see that you can rely on your own discipline. This is how real change happens, not through big decisions, but through repeated small ones. Another powerful part of rising quietly is learning to enjoy the process instead of focusing only on results. Many learners feel frustrated because they measure their progress only through big achievements, like speaking fluently or understanding everything. But growth happens in layers. Your listening becomes clearer before your speaking improves. Your speaking becomes smoother before your grammar becomes automatic. Your confidence grows before your vocabulary expands. When you pay attention to these small improvements, you stay motivated without needing perfection. Transformation also requires patience. You must give your brain time to absorb new patterns, new sounds, new structures. English is not just words. It is a system, a rhythm, a mindset. You are teaching your brain to operate in a new way, and this process takes time. But every day you show up, your brain rewires itself. Every time you think in English, your neural pathways grow stronger. Every time you use English in real life, your confidence increases. This quiet internal work is invisible to others, but it is powerful. When you rise quietly, you stop comparing yourself to other learners. You stop worrying about who speaks better or who understands faster. Comparison kills motivation because it makes you forget your own journey. Everyone learns differently. Everyone starts from a different place. Everyone has their own timeline. Your job is not to be better than someone else. Your job is to be better than yesterday. When you focus on your own progress, you grow faster because your energy goes toward improvement, not self-doubt. Transformation also requires letting go of the need to impress others. Many learners hesitate to speak because they worry about how they will sound. They fear judgment. They fear embarrassment. But when you rise quietly, you don't seek approval. You don't try to prove anything to anyone. Your growth is personal. Your journey is private. You learn for yourself, not for applause. You speak to improve, not to impress. And when you adopt this mindset, your confidence becomes unshakable, because no one else controls it. Quiet growth also teaches you resilience. Some days you will feel motivated. Other days you will feel tired. Some days you will understand everything. Other days nothing seems clear. But rising quietly means continuing anyway. It means learning even when progress feels slow. It means trusting the process, even when results are not visible. Consistency builds resilience. Resilience builds mastery. And mastery builds the confidence that nothing can stop you. Transformation happens in the background, like seeds growing under the soil. At first, you don't see anything. You may feel nothing is changing. But roots are forming. Foundations are strengthening. Your brain is adjusting. Your confidence is rising. And then one day, maybe months later, you suddenly notice the change. You understand conversations you couldn't understand before. You speak without panicking. You think in English naturally. You watch videos without subtitles. And in that moment, you realize that every quiet effort was worth it. Rising quietly also shapes your character. You become more patient, more disciplined, more focused. You learn to trust slow progress. You learn to stay committed even without immediate results. These qualities do not only help your English, they help your life. They shape your career, your mindset, your relationships, your ambitions. The person who can learn English with consistency is the same person who can build a successful career, start a business, or develop a strong mindset. English is not just teaching you a language, it is teaching you how to grow. And perhaps the most beautiful part of quiet transformation is that one day people will notice. They will say, "Your English is so much better. You sound confident now. You improved a lot." They will think your progress happened suddenly, but you will know the truth. It happened quietly, through daily effort, through private practice, through moments when nobody clapped for you. You built your transformation in silence, and now the results speak louder than words. You do not need attention to grow. You do not need perfection to progress. You do not need speed to succeed. What you need is consistency, courage, patience, and the belief that small efforts create big changes. Rise quietly. Transform slowly. Let your improvement speak for itself. Your journey is not finished. It is only beginning. And the version of you who stays consistent will become unstoppable. The future you are becoming. You have reached the end of this audiobook, but in truth, this is only the beginning of your journey. Every chapter you listened to, every idea you absorbed, every moment you spent learning, these were not just lessons about English. They were lessons about you, about who you are becoming, about the strength you didn't know you had, about the path you are building quietly, step by step, day by day. English is not just a language, it is the mirror that shows your growth. And now, you can see how far you have already come. You understand now that fluency is not born from perfection. It is built from courage. It is built from consistency. It is built from the decision to keep showing up even when the progress feels slow. Everything you have done so far, every video you watched, every sentence you spoke, every mistake you made, has shaped you into a stronger, more confident version of yourself. This is the real success. Not perfect grammar, not perfect pronunciation. The real success is the person you are becoming through the process of learning. Your journey will continue beyond these words. There will be days when you feel motivated, and days when you feel tired, days when English feels easy, and days when it feels frustrating. But now you have the mindset, the tools, and the habits to keep going. You know how to think in English. You know how to speak without fear. You know how to learn from real life. You know how to grow quietly, patiently, powerfully. You are prepared for the journey ahead. And the future? It is bigger than you imagine. English will open doors you cannot see yet. New jobs, new opportunities, new friendships, new experiences. It will give you confidence in places where you once felt small. It will help you climb to levels you once believed were too far away. You have already proven that you can grow. All you need now is to continue. So as you step forward from this audiobook, remember this: your progress is real. Your potential is limitless. Your future is yours to build. Keep learning. Keep rising. Keep becoming the person you were always meant to be. Your journey with English is not just changing your language, it is changing your life.